Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-anbiya wal mursaleen nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in ma ba'du. So tonight, inshallah, we're going to start another book, Aqeedah at-tawheed. And it's a short, summarized book, the basic belief of the Muslim. And the title reads, The Strengthening Our Relationship with Allah, based on the ayah in the Quran that we're going to read through first with the tafsir in Surah Fatir. We'll start with the ayah. The relationship between the belief system, how to believe in Allah, and the importance of it, the importance of Aqeedah. Allah says in Surah Fatir, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. Those who fear Allah the most are, as Allah says, ulama, which we usually translate as scholars. Those who fear Allah most are the ulama, as Allah said. In the tafsir of Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, and this is the point and one of the benefits of learning about Allah, learning the basic Aqeedah. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَاهُ حَقَّ خَشْيَةِ الْعُلَمَاء الْعَارِفُونَ بِهِ. Those who fear Allah as Allah is supposed to be feared, would do just correctly, are those ulama, those scholars who have knowledge of Allah. Who have knowledge of Allah. And now he describes why is that? What makes it that a person of knowledge will fear Allah more than a person without knowledge? Anybody know?
The person who fears Allah, they know about the punishment that they will receive for any wrongdoing, and they also know about the rewards.
The person again?
You said the person who had fear of Allah will know about the punishment that they will receive for their committing any shameful deeds. Those who know about the rewards hope for that. Those who don't have any fear, they have no shame. So they do as they please.
Those who don't fear Allah. What makes the ulama fear Allah? Knowledge of Allah. Knowledge of Allah makes those people who have knowledge, those are the people who have more fear of Allah. And that's the next description. لأنه كلما كانت المعرفة للعظيم القدير العليم الموصوف بصفات الكمال المنعوت بالأسماء الحسنى. Every time, the more a person knows, the more a person has knowledge of Al-Azim, the great, Al-Qadir, the all-able, the one who is described with all the perfect names and attributes, the more knowledge of all of these things that a person has. It says, كُلَّمَا كَانَتِ الْمَعْرِفَ بِهِ أَتَمْ وَالْعِلْمِ بِهِ أَكْمَلِ. The more complete a person's knowledge is of Allah, كَانَتِ الْخَشْيَ لَهُ أَعْظَمُ الْأَكْثَرِ. Then the result is that their fear is more, based on knowing Allah, based on knowing who Allah is, based on knowing their Lord. قال علي بن أبي طلحة عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما. Ibn Abbas said about the ayah. Ibn Abbas, he said about this ayah, قال الذين يعلمون أن الله على كل شيء قدير. Those who know that Allah is able to do all things. Where it says, إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء. Those who fear Allah are those, as we translate as, the scholars. Somebody might say, well, it's only scholars that fear Allah. So outside of that, if you're not a scholar, then a person doesn't fear Allah. That's not the case. Meaning, those people of knowledge, those people who know Allah, who have knowledge of Allah, who is Allah, their Lord. These people are the people who the result in that knowledge is supposed to be that they have more fear of Allah Jalla wa'ala, that their relationship with Allah is stronger based on knowing Allah. Not that just only the ulama fear Allah, only the scholars of majority of the ummah are not scholars. That's only a small portion. Therefore, we say what? No one else fears Allah except for the ulama. As Ibn Abbas said, الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Those who know that Allah is able to do everything. طيب. قال سعيد بن جبير رضي الله عنه الخشية هي التي تحول بينك وبين معصية الله عز وجل. He said the fear of Allah is what is the barrier between a person and disobedience. The fear of Allah is that barrier, that's what's stopping a person from disobeying Allah, from ma'asi, from disobedience. عن ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه أنه قال ليس العلم عن كثرة الحديث ولكن العلم عن كثرة الخشية. Knowledge, he said, knowledge is not just knowing a lot of narrations. Just knowing a lot of narrations is not ilm, is not knowledge. He said knowledge is khashya, that a person has taqwa, that they fear Allah. How does a person fear Allah except through ilm, knowledge, knowing who Allah is, knowing the reward, the repercussions, that His punishments, right? That Allah sees everything. And right now, it's a class on Tuesdays, every Tuesday right now. Shaykh Saleh is giving on the Asma, the names of Allah. Every week. I think they did at-tawheed yesterday. Knowing Allah's names and attributes so that a person knows who their Lord is. They know when to use the name, when not to use the name, when to make dua and what name to use in what situation. طيب. قال سفيان الثوري عن أبي حيان أن رجل قال كان يقال. It used to be said Al-ulama thalatha. There are three types of scholars. Three types of scholars. Three categories. Alim billah wa alim bi amrillah. The one who knows Allah and he knows the commandments. Alim wa alim billah laysa bi alim bi amrillah. Or the one who knows Allah but he doesn't know the commandments, the halal and the haram, is not very knowledgeable in that field. And the other one, alam bi amrillah, laysa bi alam billah. The one who knows the ahkam, the rulings, what's permissible, what's not permissible, but they don't know their Lord, they don't know Allah. You know, this is halal, this is haram, but they don't know Allah. He says, so the first person, the one who knows Allah, and they know the halal and the haram, he says, alladhi yakhsha Allah, وَيَعْلَمْ الْحُدُودِ وَالْفَرَائِضِ. The one who knows Allah and they know the boundaries that Allah sets in the Sharia. What can we do, what can't we do? What's permissible, what's impermissible? What's sunnah, what's disliked? They know Allah and they know the ahkam. The second group, they know Allah and they don't know the ahkam. They don't know the hudud. الَّذِي يَخْشَى اللَّهِ. They have fear of Allah but they lack in knowledge of what's permissible, what's not permissible, the hudud, what's obligatory on, what's not obligatory on. And the last group, those who know the rulings, but they don't know Allah. They say they describe these people as al-ulama thalatha, three different types of them. Of course, the best group is those who know Allah and have knowledge of the Sharia, the ahkam, that go along as Allah revealed in the Quran. طيب, based on this ayat and based on the tafsir is the importance of learning Aqeedah. And this book is not a book of, or it's not a book that's very high level. It's simple, straight to the point. And if a book is straight, simple to the point, you should keep it straight simple and to the point. Meaning, من رام علم الجملة ذهب عنه الجملة. As Imam Shihab al-Zuhri, rahimahullah, said that whoever tries to get knowledge all in one sitting, they're going to lose that knowledge all in one sitting. Ilm is not done all in the crash course, hour and a half. We get everything now, and we good. He said, يُطْلَبُ الْعِلْمَ عَلَى مَرِّ الْأَيَّامِ وَاللَّيَالِي. That knowledge is sought over days and nights. Days and nights, over and over and over and over and over. The masail in this book, the issues in this book are basic, but they're important. All of us should know them. Everybody should know them. It's not something that we look at as the flag, or that's not, you know, I'm above that. No, these are basic issues that all of us should know. So we're not going to go too far off of the text, inshallah. طيب. He says, حفظه الله الفصل الأول. The first chapter dealing with بيان العقيدة وبيان أهميتها باعتبارها أساسا يقوم عليه بناء الدين. This chapter is dealing with what is Aqeedah, why is Aqeedah important, and the fact that it is what the religion is built on. The religion, the asl of the religion is Aqeedah. And then the ahkam come on top of that. The first pillar is the shahada. Without the shahada, the salat, the zakat, la yanfa. No benefit without the shahada first. So he starts with the definition. The definition of Aqeedah, lughatan, in the language, in the Arabic language. And they always usually bring the definition in the Arabic language first, and then it'll make sense how we use it, and we say it in the Islamic terminology. طيب لغة مأخوذة من العقد وهو ربط الشيء. It's taken from a word that means to tie or lock something, to knot, make something into a knot. You know, a knot is what? Tight. So it says, a person says, what? Daqattu kada. Lugatan, a person is saying, I lock something, or, you know, we say, in this case, it can mean I'm locked in on it. You see, we locked in on something, I'm gonna get it done, right? He says, Aqadtu alayhi al-qalb wal-dhamir. I set my heart and my attention on what I'm doing, I'm locked in. In the language, the same word that comes from that word, to be locked in something is tight. Wal-aqeedah ma yudinu bihi al-insan. It is also the religion that a person practices, right? Not just for a Muslim, right? A religion that a person practices. Any religion. See, their deen allows them to do something. In their Aqeedah, they believe this. General. طيب. يقال له عقيدة حسنة. He has a good Aqeedah. Do you mean shit? He has a good Aqeedah. How you know a person has a good Aqeedah? Character. There's some nice people with some bad beliefs, right? There's some nice people, but their Aqeedah might be very, very far from the Sunnah of the Prophet. But character should be a result of a person's good Aqeedah. What means good Aqeedah? A good belief. I know a person's system of belief is good.
Worship, if it's based upon the Quran.
Worship. The Khawarij, they worship was.
Follow the Sunnah.
The Khawarij had worship that some of the Sahaba said, right? They pray longer than us. They marks, the such that marks was bigger than theirs. The Khawarij, they had worship. That don't necessitate because a person does a lot of worship that they're correct in their belief. What'd you say?
It's based on the Sunnah.
Following the Sunnah. Jade, following the Sunnah. Huh?
They understand of the ayats of Allah and the Sunnah.
They have an understanding of the ayat and the Sunnah. Jade. That's not what he says, but Jay. He mentioned something real, oh, that's good. He mentioned something real specific. What if a person does all of that, right? They do all of that, right? And they got some doubt in what they're doing. They got doubt, they doubt. Allah protect us all. They have doubt in Allah. I mean, they have doubt in Allah. And they pray, they fast, and they do this, and they doubt. They have doubt in Allah Jalla wa Ala. He says, Aqeedah is good.
It's not good.
Class.
Would you say his or her Aqeedah is good? And they doubt Allah?
No.
Even though they pray, they got good adab, they got good character, right? They give sadaqah, they do all the stuff. But they have doubt. He says something specific.
So there has to be certainty with
There you are. Certainty. Salima. Aqeedah hasana salima min ash-shak. That is no doubt in what they believe. There's no doubt in what they believe. We didn't even get to the specific Aqeedah that we're talking about. طيب. He says, وَالْعَقِيدَةُ عَمَلُ الْقَلْبِ وَهِيَ إِيمَانُ قَلْبِ الشَّيْءِ وَتَصْدِيقُهُ. It's an action of the heart, belief in the heart of a specific thing. طيب. This is a question. Can you tell somebody's Aqeedah? Can you tell somebody's Aqeedah by looking at them? Can you tell what they believe when you look at them?
No.
Never?
Never. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Like from a Catholic,
How?
like the believer, if you got full on Catholic traveling church,
The believer says might have a third one. G. That's here. What about in the Arab countries where non-Muslims wear thobes? The non-Muslims wear Arabs, they're not Muslims, and they read Arabic. And their Bible is in Arabic. Bible's in Arabic. Huh? They might need the salams. If two people dressed alike, pants and shirt, can you decisively say what their Aqeedah is? A brother coming here right now, right? Right now, with thobe on, right? Kufi, lihya, sajda mark. Do you know his Aqeedah? Right? Sister come in the same way. She's covered. She comes in, prays 2 rak'ahs, sits down. You know the Aqeedah from that? La. It's amal qalbi. There's something in the heart. You can't tell a person's Aqeedah from looking at them. صح? Right? amal qalbi. طيب. We'll leave that. طيب. والعقيدة شرعا. Islamically, it is الإيمان بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله ويوم الآخر والإيمان بالقدر خيره وشره. It's the belief in the 6 pillars of Iman, Arkan al-Iman. طيب, Arkan al-Iman, that's the asl of the Aqeedah. Goes back to the 6 pillars of faith. The most important pillar, al-Iman billah. The Aqeedah of the Muslim is based off the 6 pillars of faith. Everything is extracted from those 6 pillars. طيب. طيب. Now he mentions a benefit regarding the Sharia that is broken down into 2 different sections. Aqeedah and mu'amalat, actions. طيب. He says those things that don't have anything to do with actions. Doesn't have anything to do with kayfiyat al-amal, how do you do it? Right? A specific action. Like what? I'tiqad rububiyatillah wa wujub ibadati. The belief in Allah's lordship. That Allah is the only Lord. He makes it rain, He makes the sun come out, gives life, causes death. Right? That has nothing to do with actions. Our actions. There's nothing to do with that. Tayyib. Or the belief in the rest of the pillars. Belief in the angels, the books. The other section of the Sharia deals with actions. Kayfiyah. Those things that are connected, be kayfiyat al-amal. They're connected to how to do the action. Like, what? The salat. How to perform salat. How to make wudu, how to pay zakat, and the rest of them. So the first group is what the ulama call asliya, the usul of the deen. Usul al-deen. That's one of the names of Aqeedah. Usul al-deen, the fundamentals of the deen. Or Aqeedah, is another name for it. Those beliefs. The other things are what they call far'iyya. Loosely translated, branches. Right? Branches. Which is important to know for what's going to come later. Tayyib? Everybody with me? So right now, we're talking about usul al-deen. Aqeedah, usul al-deen. We're not talking about the common word fiqh. Right? We're not talking about how to fast. We're not talking about if you ate before the sun went down and there was 2 minutes left to the adhan, what should you do? Or you woke up late and you still eat sahur. Come up out of ruku', put your hands on your chest or down by your side. I came late, they was already in sajda. Do I go down and stand up? We're not talking about none of that. I divorced my wife 3 times at once. Does it count? No. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the usul, which is all amal al-qalbi. But you can't see if a person comes in here. So if a person comes in here right now, right, the asl is what? He's Muslim. He's Muslim. Or is the asl, or is the origin that he has a bad aqeedah. His aqeedah is shut out. He comes in here, he prays, lihya, beard, whatever he got on. Comes in here, makes 2 rakats and sits down in the circle. Is the origin that he's a Muslim, nahkim al-zahir? We just go with what we see. He look like a good brother. Sister come in, she said, I don't know. Sister came and prayed, sat in the class, alhamdulillah. Do we know what they believe or not? They could believe anything. That's not our job, though. Our job is not to look at a person, see what they got on, and then make a final hukum on him. He must be from such and such. That's not our job. Our job is to make sure that we do what we're supposed to do. And that's on them. If they come out and tell you something, then that's a different story. Now you might have to help them or help her if they have some problems. They might have some problems. They don't understand correctly. They got a problem. But not that every person that comes through the door that we don't know, they don't pray with us. We got to look at them funny and say they must be on something funny, because if they was on what we was on, they would be here with us. Nah. As if there's nowhere else to pray in this city. Allah understand. طيب. فالعقيدة صحيحة. The correct عقيدة هي الأساس. هي الأساس الذي يقوم عليه الدين وتصح معه الأعمال. The religion is based on this. That's the origin of the religion. And a person's belief in Allah is correct. And built on top of that are, for example, if the actions are going to be correct. Because if a person, if a person, for example, has doubt in their shahada, they have doubt in Allah Jalla wa'ala, then the action coming after that is not going to benefit them. It's not going to benefit them if they have doubt in the crux of the deen. You with me? They have doubt in the asl of the deen. If the foundation is shaky, the whole building is shaky. If it's a crack in the foundation, it's a faulty foundation. It's a crack in the asl. The asl is the shahada, the belief in Allah. It's a crack there, it's a crack in everything that comes after.
One who has doubts in any of these categories, does that take them out of the fold of Islam, or are they kufr?
We're going to get to that,
Okay.
inshallah. Inshallah. طيب. So the importance of ikhlas in actions, and the importance of the belief in Allah when we're doing our actions. طيب قال تعالى فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا. In Surah Al-Kahf, Allah says, whoever hopes to meet Allah on the last day, then they should do two things. Do righteous actions and don't put any partners with Allah. And a righteous action, how we know an action is righteous? It's done sincerely for Allah, the ikhlas, and following the sunnah, the way the Prophet ﷺ taught us. طيب, the importance of al-ikhlas. طيب. قال تعالى ولقد أوحي إليك وإلى الذين من قبلك لئن أشركت ليحبطن عملك ولتكونن من الخاسرين. As Allah said, we revealed to you and those who came before you from the prophets, if you, the messengers, if you were to put partners with Allah, then we would have nullified all of your deeds. We would nullify all of your deeds based on a crack in the asl. Shirk is a crack in the asl. Putting partners with Allah is a crack in the origin of the religion, the tawheed. So based on that crack, all the deeds are nullified. Allah said we would have nullified your deeds. He said, and then you would have been from the losers in the hereafter. طيب فدلت هذه الآيات الكريمة وما جاء بمعناها وهو كثير على أن الأعمال لا تقبل إلا إذا كانت خالصة من الشرك. These ayat and many ayats that prove the same thing. The actions are not accepted unless they are free from shirk. They have to be sincerely for Allah. And we gotta remember, it's not just, shirk is not just only worshiping a tree or worshiping a stone. Ar-riyah, showing off, is from minor shirk. Ar-riyah. To the point that the ulama explained it doesn't remove a person from Islam, but it invalidates that action. Allah forgive us. I mean, so if a person came, as they say, a person came and they prayed Maghrib, right? Brother's praying Maghrib, he's home, just came in from work, gotta pray Maghrib. He prays Maghrib, so he prays the first rak'ah. He stands up to pray the second rak'ah. When he stands up to pray the second rak'ah, his wife comes in the room. She had to grab a tarha, something, whatever she grabbed. When she grabs the tarha, he does what? He increases and perfects his salat when his wife comes in. Way more than he did in the first rak'ah. Best qira'ah now, pronouncing all of the letters perfectly, standing ruku' straight back, right? When the first rak'ah he prayed in 48 seconds. The second rak'ah, somebody comes in, and only Allah knows, and Allah knows. Allah knows. She doesn't know. Nobody, the kids might, nobody knows, but Allah knows. He knows what he's doing, or she knows what she's doing, and Allah knows. They beautify it for what? The person listening. And this is one of the examples they use. They do something from the salat. Is the whole salat invalid? Huh? Yes, exactly. That rak'ah, that portion that he did or she did that wasn't for Allah is invalid. And that's a whole nother problem. How you gonna fix that salah? How you gonna fix that prayer? If the qira'at al-Fatiha wasn't for Allah, right? The ruku' wasn't for Allah. The perfection of the ruku' wasn't for Allah. Wasn't for Allah. It wasn't done seeking Allah's reward. It was done because she came in, or he came in and saw me. So now I gotta, right? That's a whole problem now, fixing it.
So does that mean they have to make it up? Can they make it up?
That's a whole problem. We're not going into that. If it does happen, and you feel yourself doing it, you fight it. If it does happen and you feel yourself doing it, you gotta fight it. And the earlier man discussed that too. It's gonna come a little later. You gotta fight it. That means a person gotta be honest with themselves, with yourself. You gotta be honest with ourselves. Would I read like that if she wasn't in here? Would I read like that if my husband didn't come in the room? If nobody was here, would I read like that? Or am I reading like that because there's people listening? Right? Riyah is from shirk. So, he said there are many ayat that prove that the actions are not accepted except that they are sincerely for Allah. And this is why.
What if it's an instance, it's in the opposite? Is that the same thing? Let's say you take your time in Salah. Now you got somebody with you, you trying to speed it up.
That's from the shaitan. That's a trick to police. That's a trick from the shaitan. And that's another issue. That the shaitan, it could be from reality, the person goes to the opposite extreme. The earlier man mentioned that. It could be you go to the opposite extreme. That's why, if we thinking about all that in the salah, you know what I'm saying? It's a little different if all of that's in your mind, especially when people come in or somebody's watching. That gotta be, not that you're worried about them, but you can't change your program. If my program is for Allah, and it's for Allah. If it sounds good, it sounds good. If it don't sound good, it don't sound good. Who like it, like it. Who don't like it, don't like it. That's not really my concern on what the creation was pleasing to the creation. Tayyib. He said this is why that the messengers, the ihtimam al-Rasul salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim bi-islah al-Aqeedah awwalan. This is why the messengers came, and the first thing they came with was to correct the beliefs of their people. فَأَوَّلَ مَا يَدْعُونَ أَقْوَامَهُمْ إِلَىٰ عِبَادَةِ اللَّهِ وَحْدَهُ. The first thing they called their people to was to worship Allah alone, and not to worship anything other than Allah. As Allah said, وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنْ يَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. As Allah said, we sent in every nation a messenger commanding them to worship Allah and to stay away from worshiping the Taghut, the false gods. And every messenger that came, and you hear this all throughout the Quran, especially during Ramadan, that's the ni'mah of at-tawheed, that if you pray every night, inshallah, you get to hear the whole Quran recited from front to back, and you hear the ayat over and over and over, those ayats. As he says, every messenger, يَقُولُ أَوَّلُ مَا يُخَاطِبُ قَوْمَهُ, the first thing he said to his people was, اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مَا لَكُم مِّنْ إِلَٰهٍ غَيْرُهُ. Worship Allah, you have no other Lord besides Allah. He says, قَالَهَا نُوح. Nuh said it. Hud, Saleh, Shu'aib, وَسَارِ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ لِقَوْمِهِمْ. They all said it. And if you hear it on the Quran, you'll hear it. Same ayat over. Tayyib. Also, showing the importance that the Messenger ﷺ بقي النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام في مكة بعد البعثة 13 عاما يدعو الناس للتوحيد وإصلاح العقيدة. That he stayed in Mecca after receiving a revelation, 13 years, all dealing with Tawheed, Aqidah. 13 years dealing with the correction of the Aqidah. And this shows, because this is from the crux, this is the asl of the religion. The asl of the deen is Tawheed. Tayyib. The second portion is a discussion on بيان مصادر العقيدة ومنهج السلف في تلقيها. Clarifying the source material. What are our sources? What sources do we use for Aqeedah? Where do we get our sources from? Right? You'd be surprised as people who say other than that. You'd be Muslim groups, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. It sounds simple, and that's Allah's ni'mah. That you can just say, what else would you do? It's a lot of stuff that people do. Dreams, intellect, what you think, that don't make sense. Science, all kinds of stuff that they use as sources to extract Aqeedah, belief, how to believe in Allah. And some people will use science, philosophy, right? So he says, Al-Aqeedah Tawqifiyya. فلا تثبت إلا بدليل من الشارع لا مسرع فيها للرأي والاجتهاد. That Aqeedah is not an issue of debate. It's up for debate, as we do in issues like salat, fiqh issues, going down on your knees or going down on your hands first. This is not that area, not in this science, right? Because in those issues, I heard the adhan, the thing says 506, I didn't hear Salah 8. In those issues is what the ulama call dhann. It could be, right? You look at the hadith, it could mean that. It could mean this. The hadith of the camel going down on the knees first. It could mean that if you look at the camel go down and see, well, I see what they're saying now, right? It's this, could be that. All right, this one is stronger. And this scholar says this is stronger based on this, but they do have a strong point, right? Not in Aqeedah. No, not in Aqeedah. Allah is Al-Alim. Bila shak, no doubt. Not something could possibly slip Allah miss, Allah not have knowledge possibly or something. La. Not in this field of Aqeedah. There is no ijtihad. We differ on this one. Right? And the usul. That Aqeedah is not made firm, the belief, except that it has dalil. There's some dalil. And that's a whole discussion in itself. The different types of dalil. We just leave it at that this is not the majal, this is not the place for, could be this, could be that. That's strong, but this one is strong too. Not when it comes to belief in Allah and the arkan al-iman. طيب. He says, ومن ثم فإن مصادرها مقصورة على ما جاء في كتاب السنة لأنه, and this is the question, if we restrict everything that came in the Quran and the Sunnah, right? And if you look at it, and this is what he says, who knows Allah better than Allah knows himself? Nobody. So if Allah describes himself like this, then that's what it is. If Allah says this in the Quran about himself, then this is what it is. Somebody's going to come and say, no, Allah said in the Quran, but it could mean this. Well, for you to say that, you're going to need dalil. Everything goes back to dalil. There is no room for just ta'leel, as we do it, ulama do in fiqh and stuff like that. He said, there's nobody a'lam billah wa ma yajibu lahu wa ma yunazzihu anhu min Allah. No one is more knowledgeable about Allah than Allah himself. And who's the most knowledgeable of Allah after him, after Allah? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? So we find a hadith, authentic hadith, and the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says something about Allah. But Allah does what? Comes down the last third of the night. Right? We find these ayat and these hadith, but the Prophet ﷺ describes Allah, then we believe him. Oh, who knows Allah better than the Messenger ﷺ? طيب. He says, nobody after, وَلَا أَحَدَ بَعْدَ اللَّهِ أَعْلَمْ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم. There's no one after Allah who knows Allah better than the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? The importance of the Sunnah. Because some people say we just cool with the Quran. They say we just cool with the Quran. Right? The importance of the Sunnah. He says, وَلِهَذَا كَانَ مِنْهَجِ السَّلَفِ الصَّالِحِ وَمَنْ تَبِعَهُمْ فِي تَلَقِّ الْعَقِيدَةِ مَقْصُورًا عَلَى كِتَابِ السُّنَّةِ. And this is why the Salaf and those who came after them, that they would take and extract their Aqeedah from the Kitab al-Sunnah. طيب. So what came in the Quran and the Sunnah, they believed in it, they acted on it. And what didn't come in the Quran and the Sunnah, they denied it and rejected it. He says, وَلِهَذَا لَمْ يَحْصُلْ بَيْنَهُمْ اِخْتِلَافٍ فِي الْاعْتِقَادِ بَلْ كَانَتْ عَقِيدَتُهُمْ وَاحِدَةً وَكَانَتْ جَمَاعَتُهُمْ وَاحِدَةً. He said, and this is why they restricted themselves to the Quran and the Sunnah. And this is why you didn't find that different in Aqeedah. You didn't find that. in the usul of Aqeedah. You didn't find that with the Salaf. Are the Masail, you're talking about issues, branches off of a branch, that's a different issue. The usul, the origin of the belief system, you didn't find them different. Tayyib. They said this is why they were one jama'ah. They were together because Allah Jalla wa Ala, Allah will guarantee, as He says, لأن الله تكفل لمن تمسك بكتابه وسنة رسوله باجتماع الكلمة. He said because Allah has protected and guaranteed the people who hold on to the Quran and Sunnah that they will be together. They will have one word on the same page based on the belief. All of this comes under the basic beliefs. As he said in the beginning, the Arkan al-Iman. All of the Aqeedah books go back to Arkan al-Iman. They go back to Arkan al-Iman. There's issues under each one, but they all go back to Arkan al-Iman. And that's why when you look at a lot of the books of the Salaf, the Matun, the books by themselves, they're real short. It's super short. 6-7 pages maybe in Arabic. Short. And if you put this book down and pick up another one, Usul al-Sunnah by Imam Ahmad, you pick up another one, Aqeedah al-Raziyayn, it's the same thing. It's simple. And when we read with Shaykh Muhammad, Hafidhullah, when we read on him, and he said, Shaykh, that's it. Some of the books we read in a day. One sitting, read the whole book, 2 days. Say, Shaykh, that's it. Aqeedah Salaf is simple, it's simple. It didn't start getting complicated until later. When the innovators and Ahl Kalam started injecting stuff into the books, then it became confusing. That's when they became confused. If you go back and look at the books, they're real simple and straight to the point. I'm not talking about the explanation of this book. The actual book by itself is real simple and straight to the point. Most of them. We're not talking about research books, not thick books, Sunan al-Khalal and not the thick books, voluminous books. The little thin books, they pretty much all the same. Simple, straight to the point. We read like 2 in a day, front to back. Say, Shaykh, that's it? Finish it already? Yeah, that's it. What you want? He said, what you thought, what do you think it was going to be? Oh, it's kind of fast. Let's see. The Aqeedah is simple. You going to make it complicated? The belief of the Muslim is simple. You want to make it complicated? It didn't get complicated until Ahl Kalam. They start using philosophy. They start using these other terms and other sciences. So then, people like Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah and other ulama, they went and had to go in and refute them with their own speech and all that kind of stuff. Then and the further away it got, the more difficult the wording is. But if you go back and read, for example, Usul al-Sunnah by Imam Ahmad, if you just read the text, it's straight to the point. Point. Easy. Aqeedah al-Raziyayn is the same way. Simple. If a person believes like this from the Sunnah, it's easy. Tayyib. He said this is why they didn't disagree, because it was a simple. Tayyib. Was-sawab fil mu'taqid ittihad al-minhaj. He said it was correct when it comes to Aqeedah that everybody's supposed to be on the same thing. We're not supposed to be. We shouldn't be happy that the Muslims are broken up into groups. We over here, they over there, they on. That's not the maqsood of kalimat at-tawheed. Islam doesn't call to separation. We're supposed to be united on the kalima. The same thing that we said when we took shahada that made us brothers and sisters now. Now we brothers and sisters. Now we got more problems. It's supposed to soften us. We're supposed to be one body. One hurting, the other one's hurting, all that hadith related to brotherhood. It's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to do if we understand it. Tayyib. It says, قال تعالى واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا. The ayah in Surah Al Imran, and all of you hold on to the rope of Allah and don't be divided. Don't be divided. And then some of the tafsir says, Hablullah, the rope of Allah is the Quran. Follow the Quran. If we follow in the Quran, it's going to direct us and guide us to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And if we're following the Sunnah of the Messenger ﷺ, there's no way we follow the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that we're comfortable and happy with division. That we're comfortable and happy that a brother made a mistake in his belief. Impossible. Because the Sunnah tells us that none of you truly believes until you want for your brother what you want for yourself. So if your brother or your sister has a mistake in the way they believe in Allah, right? It's impossible that we practice in the Sunnah correctly if we cool with that. And we could talk about them to somebody else. And then give them names on top of that. Huh? And make it stand aside and just, talk about them. You know what they be on down there, they goofy. Right? It's impossible that we understand if we're comfortable year after year after year, right? And we not at the least, because they ain't gonna listen to me. They ain't gonna listen to me if I talk to them. At the least that we making dua for them. That Allah guide them and correct them. Tayyib. He says, طيب. The next chapter, Bayan Inhiraf and Aqeedah. Reasons for going astray. Well, this is the actual portion here. The reasons that a person should know. Inhiraf and Aqeedah Sahiha lahu asbab. Tajibu ma'rifatuha. Every person should know the reasons. These are some reasons that people go astray when it comes to Aqeedah. Reason that people have mistakes in the way they believe in Allah. All right? These are some of the reasons that people make mistakes when it comes to not the salat, right? When it comes to Aqeedah, the Quran, the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. These are some of the reasons. Anybody know the number one reason? The number one reason. Huh? The number one reason that people make mistakes when it comes to their Aqeedah, their belief in Allah. Huh? Extreme. Yeah. Ignorance, not knowing. Being ignorant, not learning. Cool enough just to have a kufi. Got the look. She got the Saudi abaya. Is she good? Don't know nothing about our Lord. She got the tarha with the pen, all right? The henna, all right? Is she cool? Don't know nothing. Don't know nothing. Doesn't know anything. He got the izar, he got a kufi, right? He cool. Doesn't know anything about Allah. Jahl. The major, and then you hear people, it looks good, right? It looks good. But somebody dies, and then they say, why him or why her? Right? That's a crack in the asl of the religion. That's a crack in the origin of the belief. Why did Allah call him back? Why did Allah choose? Because Allah does what he wills. Everybody has an appointed term. Nobody lives past that term. When Allah sends the angels, right? Allah told us in the Quran that they don't disobey Allah. They do exactly what they're commanded to do. We look good, and then she turned around and say, why me? A crack based on ignorance. A jahl. That's the first thing he mentions. Ignorance on what is the correct belief. What are we supposed to believe? What do we believe? What do Muslims believe? Right? He says, how does this ignorance take place? He says, بسبب الإعراض عن تعلمها وتعليمها أو قلة الاهتمام والعناية بها. Due to Aqeedah not being taught and people not learning it. Aqeedah is not being taught and people are not learning what it is anyway. Or that people give little importance to it. I said the Shahada, I'm good. Right? If you read through those books, you find a lot of issues. There are a lot of issues. If we still checking for horoscopes, and talking about you a Cancer and a Sagittarius, and you got a serious problem in Aqeedah. That's a serious problem. If you still telling somebody that me and her click because we was both born in July, that's a problem. That's a musibah for real. That's a serious problem when it comes to the belief. A person, how does that have to do with anything? And you got to go back to the books. You got to read. There has to be some desire there to know, what am I supposed to be doing? The desire has to be there to know, make sure I'm safe with Allah. Yawm al-Qiyamah. The man said he met, Abu Mulaika said he met 30 Sahaba, 30 companions. All of them feared what? Hypocrisy. 30 companions he met. All 30 that he met, they feared hypocrisy. How we think, what makes us think that we safe? It's dangerous. It's dangerous. And that's why that book, Deceptions of Shaitan, Talbis Iblis, that the Shaitan could deceive people with knowledge. He can deceive us in a way with something that's good. I'm Shahada, I'm Muslim, I go to Jummah on Friday, I'm good. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. And then turn the sale around and say, what was the Powerball? Right? And then they might not know. Literally, they might not know that Muslims are not supposed to gamble. People might not know. A lot of times people don't know because of the first reason, jahl, not giving any importance to learning. Therefore, they end up going against the correct belief. It says, a person la ya'rif ma yukhalifuha wa yudadduha. A person doesn't know what goes against the correct belief. What's the opposite of it? They don't know. So they end up believing something that's falsehood. And they end up believing falsehood is the truth. Allah musta'an. Allah musta'an. Tayyib, the second thing, some of these are a little at-ta'assub lima alayhi al-aba wal-ajdad wat-tamassuk bihi wa in kana batilan wa tark ma khalafahu wa in kana haqqan. The second reason is that people have biasness. They sticking to what their parents taught them. Or they're sticking to what their grandparents taught them. Right? They taught me that, you hear people say this, I'm not making this up. This is a hadith, we don't need it. All we need is the Quran. That's what I was taught. He said, well, if you look here, the law says here, man, I'm sticking with what they say. How long you been Muslim? So, yeah, well, my grandpa was Muslim and my mother and father, so you don't really have any weight Islamically because you just became Muslim. As if you don't know what you're talking about, as if that removes the reality. The truth is the truth. So the second one, it says, sticking to what they were taught by their fathers or their ajdad. Or it could have been a brother, old head that taught you, older sister that taught you. You got a lot of respect for them, right? Come down the line, you find out they was off on a lot of stuff. Alhamdulillah, they meant well, but they were incorrect in a lot of things. I was just talking to a brother. Alhamdulillah, it was a sister, older sister, she taught us a lot of du'as. She taught us a lot, mashallah. Allah yahdi, Allah guide her and protect her and make her better than we think she is. I mean, she taught us a lot of du'as, but there was some ishkal in some of the stuff she was teaching us. And when them problems came that went against the Quran and the Sunnah, at that point we had to stop. Even though she was good for us, even though she lets us in her house to teach us with her sons, and she bring all of us in. There might be 15, 20 of us in there, right? In her living room. All right? Even with that, when it comes and you say now, right, something that goes against our belief in Allah, but Allah tells us in the Quran and the Sunnah that we can't take that now because you let us in and you're nice to us. Now we got to go against you, even though there's nothing personal, but the Quran and the Sunnah come first. طيب. قال تعالى وإذا قيل لهم اتبعوا ما أنزل الله. If it said to them, follow what Allah revealed, قالوا بل نتبع ما ألفينا عليه أباءنا. They say, we will follow what we found our fathers following. We will follow what we found our fathers following. Allahu musta'an. طيب. طيب. The next reason. التقليد الأعمى بأخذ أقوال الناس في العقيدة من غير معرفة دليلها ومعرفة مدى صحتها كما هو الواقع من الفرق المخالفة من جهمية ومعتزلة وأشاعرة وصوفية وغيرهم حيث قلدوا من قبلهم من أئمة الضلال. طيب, the next one, blind following people. A reason for what? Going astray in Aqeedah, the crux of the deen. We're not talking about, right? We're not talking about making up a rak'ah. Because that's after. We're talking about before we get there. In the origin of the religion, in Aqeedah. That people go astray in Aqeedah based on blind following statements of people regarding Aqeedah, and they don't know the dalil for it. They don't even know if the dalil is authentic. As we see people, as he says, as we see some of the groups of innovation doing, from the Jahmiyyah, Mu'tazila, Ash'ari, the Sufis, and other groups, that they follow who? The Imam. He's the most knowledgeable, right? He's the most knowledgeable of us. This is what he said, do, we doing it. Sound familiar? It's dangerous. It's dangerous. Dangerous. That a person, Allah protect us. Allah protect us. طيب. The next one. الغلو في الأولياء والصالحين ورفعهم فوق منزلتهم بحيث يعتقد فيهم ما لا يقدر عليه إلا الله من جلب النفع ودفع الضر. He said the next one, extreme, going to extreme when it comes to religious people. When it comes to the people who are religious, going overboard and raising them above their level. Raising them above their levels to the point that they believe that these people can do things that only Allah can do. They can protect them from something. They can bring them some benefit based on going to extremes in the Salihin, the righteous people. Sound familiar with that? This does not exclude what we find today, brothers. Extreme with ulama. Extreme when it comes to scholars. Extreme. Overboard. Scared to say that the Shaykh made a mistake. Even if other scholars say the Shaykh made a mistake. Other ulama, because I'm nobody. Other ulama say, yo, that's a mistake from the Shaykh, don't follow that. Nah, Shaykh don't make mistakes. What scholar don't make mistakes in the dunya? What person in the world does not make a mistake? See? Is there anyone perfect from falling short? Huh? If there's a scholar in the dunya, if there's a scholar that doesn't make mistakes, I need to know who he is. We all need to know so we can stay away from him. Because he might not be human. Prophet ﷺ said, what? Kullu bani Adam. All of mankind, what? Khata'. All mankind make mistakes. You telling me nobody, he don't make a mistake? Never. He's never wrong? Either A, he's not human, or B, you overboard. The Prophet ﷺ said, all of Bani Adam make mistakes. Perfection is left for who? Allah Jalla wa Ala. How we say Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah, Malik, Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, Imam Shafi. We can say, oh, they was wrong in that. No, that's just like that. Ibn Taymiyyah was like, come today, no, Shaykh, no, overboard. Either A, he's not human, or B, we overboard. He said, this is the fourth one, al-ghulu, overboard, extreme in people. We can't go to extremes in people, raising people above their level. Raising people above their level is no disrespect. No disrespect to nobody. Exaggerating. But everything has to be put in its proper place. Allah is perfect. And he sent the message out to teach us and guide us how to worship him and how to follow the way to Jannah. The ulama are people who teach us. The Prophet ﷺ told us every mujtahid, what? Either yukhti or yuseed. Every scholar that's a scholar, either he's going to get the answer right or he's going to get the answer wrong. He could be wrong. He might get the answer wrong. But if he gets it wrong, he still gets a reward, even if he's wrong. Right? You with me? This is not a call to don't listen to scholars. It's not that. It's a call to put things in its proper place. Perfection is for our Lord, Jalla wa Ala. The Messenger ﷺ was sent as a mercy. If we're sticking to the script, following the revelation, we're going to be fine. But once we go outside of that and go overboard and go over the limits, beyond the limits, then we're going to fall into mistakes. This is the fourth one. Extremism and the Salihin, with awliya was Salihin, raising them above their level to the point, and it might not be here in Philadelphia, but to the point where some people believe, as he says, يَعْتَقِدْ فِيهِمْ مَا لَا يَقْدِرُ عَلَيْهِ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. They start believing that this righteous person can do stuff that only Allah can do. That's how far they go. That they start thinking that the righteous can protect them or can bring them some benefit. They said lastly, or not lastly, number 5, al-ghafla an tadabburi ayat Allah al-kawniyya wa ayat al-Qur'aniyya. Not pondering, not reflecting. How do people go astray? And not reflecting on the creation of Allah. Not reflecting on the creation of Allah. The ayat, the sun rises, right? Sunrise, everything is calculated perfect. Or the body, how the body system is calculated perfect. Systems running perfect. We don't even think about it. We don't even think. Kidneys working perfectly. Heart pumping. All of those things working perfectly, and we don't have to think about any of them. Reflecting on the ayat, kawniyya. And reflecting on the Quran. Reflecting on the Quran, the statements that we find in the Quran. He said, not pondering and reflecting on these things leads a person to inhiraf, eventually going away from the correct belief. Tayyib. He says here, أصبح البيت في الغالب خاليا من التوجيه السليم. When the houses inside of our homes will lead people to go away from the correct belief inside of our homes, that we're not commanding the good and forbidding the evil. Inside of our homes, where we have the ability. Right? There was a whole talk about the first madrasa last week. The first learning place for children is in the home. Right? We're in the homes. And we allow the kids to do any and everything. No tawheed. Son, this is how you do it. This is how this. You can't do it like this. You do it like this. This happens. Allah said this. This is why you can't do it. Why not? That's the problem. When we don't know how to answer kids, that's the problem. Why not? Allah says so. How long is that going to hold them? Right? When if we don't know, we need to find out so that it gives them that comfortability in the heart. That certainty. Allah says so, okay, alhamdulillah. But how much more would it be alhamdulillah if you knew exactly why? Because if you do this, this is what happens. It makes a whole lot more sense. Right? But that's us, the parents. That's on us, the parents, to know why. طيب. Stop there. Inshallah. We stop there. Any questions? Hold on. Sisters, any questions?
I have a question.
Hold on.
A person, right? Let's say they only take from the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
And their reason for that is because they go from a narration with Aisha said that the Prophet was upon the Quran. So that's why they only go by that and stick with that.
They said because the Prophet was what?
Walking Quran.
Was walking Quran. طيب.
Meaning that they taking that to mean that since he was taking guidance from Allah, that's the best guidance, just to go by that.
Well, if they use that, then they've ignored all of the ayat that point to following the Messenger. If you really follow the Quran, if a person says they're only going to follow the Quran, in the Quran it points you to follow the Sunnah of the Messenger in more than one ayat. Ayat. There's plenty of verses that tell you that the Messenger is an example. There's plenty of ayat. So you're just going to use some of them and then the other ones, what you going to do with those? You can't take some and leave the rest. Huh? Hey, you can't take some and then leave the rest. Why isn't it acceptable to have combined? It says, why isn't it acceptable to have combined intentions when it comes to perfecting acts of worship? Is it possible to do acts in consideration of others? Consider if a man has young children, a wife he is teaching, who are watching his example for them. Why can't this just be added motivation? Why is it shirk? Minor shirk, number one. Not shirk that makes a person not Muslim. Minor shirk. And it goes back to a person's intention. It goes back to the niyyah. The example I gave was the example I gave. I gave that example intentionally. A person's praying, it goes back to their intention. Why are you perfecting your qira'ah? You're perfecting your qira'ah for what? Why are you perfecting the way you read the Quran? Why? That's what we're supposed to do? That's how it was revealed. It was revealed like that. It's supposed to sound like that, with tajweed, and you're supposed to beautify it. Now you gotta ask yourself, do I do that all the time? No. Cool. Why don't I do it when I don't do it? Why do I do it? That's all between a person and Allah. I'm giving a specific example. If you're gonna beautify something, when a person comes in the room, you gotta be careful that you're not beautifying it because the person came in the room. Now you saying you're trying to teach them? You're trying to teach them right now, like in the salat, this is the time for teaching them how to, kids learn in general, kids learn by what they see. If you always recite nice like that, they're gonna see that anyway. There's one time they come in, you gotta tighten up. All right, if you're doing it all the time, they're gonna learn by repetition. I'm not saying that you can't teach people, but every person has to look at their intention when they do it. Nobody can open up a person's heart and say you was doing it. A person knows when they do it, why they did it. You know if you did it for this reason or not. And that's between you and Allah, for all of us. We know why we do things, and Allah knows. The people who walk by and here might not know, but Allah knows. So it's up to every person That's a situation for every person. I didn't mean to make it like that, like you can't, you know, but you got to be careful when you do it. It's ibadah. It's not the time for teaching. Teach them, you know, before you pray.
What's the name of the book we're going over now?
Aqeedah at-tawheed. Aqeedah at-tawheed. Those things that go against it. It's a real simple book. Let's see. But it's information that's needed. Any other questions?
Anybody that needs it, I got it.
Is it
PDF, I can send it to your phone. Anybody that
Yeah, sister. This question, I'm not saying you can't. You just gotta, for all of us, not just for the sister, for all of us, we gotta be careful. We don't want our actions to be invalidated because we're not doing it for Allah. That's the point. And if we're praying like that, it increases a person's concentration in the prayer. If we're praying like that. If we're praying, making sure that our intention is for Allah, making sure that we're not doing something for somebody to hear us. And it ain't just the salah. If you're sitting here reading the Quran, right? You're sitting here reading the Quran and people walk in, right? People walk in while you're reading. Do you change the way you read? If you do, why? It's on you. Point is, we got to be careful because the Prophet ﷺ described showing off riyah as a black ant on a black rock in the middle of the night. A black ant on a black rock in the middle of the night. That's how inconspicuous, you don't even know. It creeps in there. And that's the point of khushu', concentrating in the prayer and paying attention, being careful, making sure, okay, I'm doing this to make sure, inshallah, I'm put my best foot forward in this salah, the best that I can do for reading the Quran, the best that I can do for making ruku', the best that I can do for sitting, sajda. This is the best I can do. I do that and ask Allah to accept it. Somebody coming and see you doing it or not, that's not really, we have to protect ourselves from being worried about that. That was the point, not that you can, you know. Any other questions? That's it. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد